Every school student knows the formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's the cornerstone of geometry, simple, elegant, and timeless. But the man behind this equation was much more than a mathematician. He was a mystic, a cult leader, and a figure so shrouded in myth that we can barely separate his genius from his legend. This is the story of Pythagoras, the philosopher who believed that the entire universe could be understood through one single, divine language, numbers. Born around 570 BC, on the Greek island of Samos, Pythagoras was an intense seeker of knowledge. From a young age, he felt a pull towards the mysteries of the world. It's said that he traveled extensively, journeying to far-flung lands that most Greeks only heard about in whispers. He learned from Egyptian priests, who taught him the secrets of geometry and ritual. He debated with Babylonian scholars, absorbing their advanced knowledge of astronomy and mathematics. He even ventured east, where he encountered mystics, who spoke of reincarnation and the purification of the soul. These weren't just academic trips. They were transformative spiritual quests. When he finally returned to the Greek world, he was a changed man. He wasn't interested in just teaching math or philosophy. He was here to start a revolution of the mind. Around 530 BC, Pythagoras settled in the vibrant city of Croton, located in what is now southern Italy. It was here that he founded the Pythagorean Brotherhood. And make no mistake, this wasn't just a school where you'd go to learn about triangles. It was a secret society, a philosophical and religious order, bound by strict oaths, and united by one radical, world-changing belief: all things are number. For Pythagoras and his followers, numbers weren't just abstract symbols. They were the divine building blocks of reality itself. Life inside the Pythagorean Brotherhood was disciplined, bizarre, and utterly dedicated to the pursuit of pure knowledge. To join was to commit to a complete transformation of your life. Members lived by a series of strange, often baffling rules that governed every aspect of their existence. They practiced a strict form of vegetarianism, believing that all living beings possessed a soul, making the consumption of meat a form of cannibalism. They embraced asceticism, shunning personal wealth and living a simple, communal life. New initiates had to endure a period of sacred silence that could last for up to 5 years. They were expected to listen, absorb, and contemplate the teachings of the masters before they were ever granted the privilege of speaking within the group. This wasn't just about discipline. It was about learning to quiet the mind, to hear the deeper truths of the universe. And then there were the truly weird rules. Don't stir a fire with a knife. Don't step over a crossbar. Don't leave the impression of your body on your bedsheets. And most famously of all, they were absolutely forbidden from eating beans. The exact reason for this has been debated for centuries. Some scholars believe beans were seen as impure because they caused gas, disrupting the harmony of the body. Others suggest they were linked to the underworld, or that their shape resembled human embryos. Whatever the reason, this rule was taken with deadly seriousness. But beneath this surface of strange rituals and strict discipline, the Brotherhood was making profound discoveries. For Pythagoras, numbers weren't just tools for counting. They were the very essence of reality. He was on a mission to prove that the world was governed by elegant, predictable numerical ratios. And his first great breakthrough came from a place no one expected: music. One day, as legend has it, Pythagoras was walking past a blacksmith's shop and was struck by the sound of hammers hitting anvils. He noticed that some combinations of sounds were harmonious and pleasing, while others were dissonant and jarring. He rushed inside and discovered that the hammers producing the harmonious sounds had simple, whole number weight ratios to one another. He took this insight back to his laboratory and experimented with a single-stringed instrument called a chord. He found that the most fundamental and pleasing intervals in music, the octave, the fifth, and the fourth, could be expressed by incredibly simple whole number ratios. An octave was 201. A perfect fifth was 302. A perfect fourth was 403. This was a revelation. It wasn't an accident or a matter of opinion. The beauty we hear with our ears was fundamentally rooted in mathematical perfection. From here, he made a breathtaking leap of imagination. If music was governed by numbers, why not the entire cosmos? He formulated the concept of the harmony of the spheres, proposing that the planets in their orbits around the Earth moved according to these same perfect mathematical ratios. As they spun through the heavens, They created a sublime, celestial musica symphony, too perfect and constant for our mortal ears to perceive. Of course, no discussion of Pythagoras is complete without the theorem that bears his name. While the practical relationship between the sides of a right triangle A squared plus b squared equals c squared was known to civilizations like the Babylonians, for centuries they used it as a handy rule of thumb for construction and land surveying. Pythagoras and his followers were the ones who elevated it from a useful trick to an immutable, divine truth. They are credited with providing the first formal, logical proof. This wasn't just about triangles anymore. It was the ultimate testament to their core belief. It proved that the universe was orderly, rational, and could be understood through the pure language of numbers. This theorem was the crown jewel of their entire philosophical system. But this perfect, number-driven system was about to be shattered by its own success. The very tool that had built their worldview was about to tear it down. The crisis came with the discovery of irrational numbers. The story, likely a legend but a powerful one, tells of a student named Hippasus. He was a brilliant member of the Brotherhood who decided to apply their most famous theorem to a simple problem: the diagonal of a square with sides of length 1. Using the theorem, he found that the length of the diagonal squared was 1 plus 1, which equals 2. Therefore, the length of the diagonal itself was the square root of 2. He tried to express this number as a simple fraction, a ratio of two whole numbers, as Pythagorean doctrine demanded. But he couldn't. No matter how hard he tried, the square root of 2 could not be written as a clean ratio. It was a number that went on forever, without repeating, without order. It was irrational. This was a philosophical and religious catastrophe. If reality contained numbers that were imperfect, endless, and could not be confined to a perfect ratio, it invalidated the entire foundation of Pythagorean philosophy. The beautiful, orderly cosmos they worshipped was suddenly revealed to have a crack in its foundation, a hint of chaos. The legend concludes with a grim and chilling end. To protect the secret that the universe contained imperfection, Hippasus was allegedly taken out to sea and drowned by his fellow Pythagoreans. Whether it was the Brotherhood itself or the gods who enacted this punishment, the message was clear. The pursuit of truth had run headlong into dogma, and dogma had won. The Brotherhood's secrecy, its elitism, and its growing political influence in Croton eventually sowed the seeds of its own destruction. Local rivalries and public resentment boiled over. An angry mob, feeling excluded and controlled by this strange cult, stormed their meeting place and set it ablaze. The end of Pythagoras himself is as shrouded in myth as his life. In one of the most famous and ironic legends, he was forced to flee the burning building. As his pursuers closed in, he came to the edge of a field of fava beans. Bound by his own sacred rule, he refused to cross it and defile himself. There, at the edge of the bean field, he was caught and killed. He died a controversial figure, a man ostracized by the very community he sought to enlighten. But his influence was eternal. His core ideas echoed through the ages, shaping the very course of Western civilization. The concept of using logic and rigorous steps to prove a mathematical truth. That is his direct legacy. Every musician today, whether they know it or not, works within the harmonic framework he first discovered. And his philosophical ideas, especially the belief in a rational, mathematically ordered universe, directly influenced Plato. Through Plato, these ideas flowed into all of Western philosophy, science, and even modern physics, where equations are still seen as the language of the cosmos. Pythagoras remains the ultimate paradox, a brilliant mathematician who led a secretive, mystical cult. A man of science, who may have died for refusing to step on a bean. He sought the divine in numbers and found it, but also discovered that the universe was more complex and mysterious than even he could have imagined. He showed us the invisible language of the universe and taught us that the greatest truths often lie hidden, waiting only for those disciplined enough to listen. If you had to follow one of the strange rules of the Pythagorean Brotherhood, which one would it be? Let us know in the comments below. If this story of ancient mystery fascinated you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the figures who unlocked our world. Thanks for watching.